now call on Deputy Leader of Opposition.
So the biggest assumption that OG made in this debate today is that social acceptance is stagnant and that it's not dynamic and that it can change and that it can't evolve over time. The problem we have here is that we can see, and it's clear as day, that throughout time, people became more social acceptant towards homosexual people. People became more social acceptant towards women having rights, or to black people and white people living together as one. Yeah, sure, we still have problems with racial divide and stuff like that, but we see ultimately there has been a change and there has been a move towards a society where more people with different opinions are accepted. And this didn't happen because I decided to not be myself, but this happened because Nelson Mandela decided that he's not going to be part of the apathetical group, of the majority apathetical group. This is because Harvey Milk decided, I'm not going to just accept being gay and not being allowed to be gay ever. This is because Rosa Parks decided, I'm not going to be the black woman that's not going to have a seat on the bus, but I'm going to be the black woman that doesn't care, conform to what happens, but I'm going to go sit on that bus. But a few points of rebuttal. Now, firstly, what OG is actually doing is they're strengthening the strength. They're not addressing the strength, they're strengthening the strength. Because ultimately, they're not taking away the differences. Because you can't take away something like homosexuality or race or religion. No. In fact, they're just increasing the size of the ignorant by adding more people who now have such a hatred. Because first of all, I'm not allowed to be gay, so I have to conform to a group of people just so they can accept me. But I have more hatred because I know I don't accept the people, like I don't want other people to be allowed to be gay. So we're increasing the size of the group that decides to judge other people and then accept them. No, I'll take something from OO DLO. Later on, maybe. Okay. We feel that the biggest mischaracterization, like they have a mischaracterization of the problem. It's not just as easy to just change and conform and then you're happy, despite the fact that you're changing from a young age, right? We see that these differences are inherently part of you. Whether or not we see this when you're raised in loads of Christian families, you're raised in a Christian house where it's not okay to be homosexual, where it's not okay to do certain things, and then despite the fact that you grew up in a house where it's frowned upon to be homosexual, a lot of Christian boys become homosexual despite the fact that they try to conform towards what their parents taught them. So we see this is the problem, it's inherent, these differences, and you can't just address it by saying we'll conform to it and then all of a sudden we'll be happy. Because ultimately what's now happening is, first of all, people is conforming. They're not happy and they're not themselves, so they're worsening the problem. So my arguments today is, first of all, how people who differ know. People who differ hold each other accountable, why collectivism is bad, and why we value individualism. Well, first of all, why people who differ can hold each other accountable. So we see the more different opinions there are, the more views we have. When we have different views, we have different opinions. We specifically see this in the political system. These people keep each other in check. When we have all of maybe the white people decided that I am going to conform to what the Freedom Front wants me to believe, then we won't have such a big majority of white people voting for the DA, which means that we won't have the DA keeping maybe the Freedom Front in check. If we have all of the black people conforming to what the ANC wants them to believe, then we won't have a big blacker majority in the DA, which can keep the ANC in check. So ultimately, the more opinions we have, the more people can keep each other in check, because there are different views. When we only have the ANC because all the people conform to the ANC, this means that we will have no one to keep the ANC in check. We will have small parties to keep the ANC in check. But we see the more difference we have and the bigger different perspectives we have more people being able to keep each other in check. And this is wonderful, to keep each other accountable. So my second argument, no. I repeat, I'll take something from closing. So, why collectivism is bad? So ultimately, when you're not yourself, you're part of this group you try to conform to. Because you're afraid to be different, or because you were raised this way, but ultimately, because you were raised this way, there are still inherent differences in you, which you just can't change as easily. This is what collectivism is. That you're part of a group, and you're not yourself. You're not an individual. You can only be valuable when you're part of a group. And we have a problem with this ideology of collectivism, and even despite the fact that conservatism is part of this, we don't want people being valued as part of a group. We want people being valued as an individual. Yeah.
What's the value in having everyone within a society know who you are on a personal level, rather than just, for example, a family unit and friends?
So we see the moment when we have one, and no matter how you characterize it, when we have one group of people, we have 10,000 people with one opinion, instead of 10,000 people with 10,000 opinions. And as Zilla has explained with the diversity argument, the bigger diverse opinions we have, the better we can be able to be more innovative and to strive towards progressive. So we have a problem with being in this collectivistic idea. Because why? Because minority groups aren't included. And it's not as easy as saying just conform, because you can't conform something that is inherently part of you. We see that the moment we have collectivism and we tell people to conform to this collectivism, you're unfairly treating the minority based on something that's inherently part of you. So we don't want to promote collectivism, but more importantly, what we want to do is we want individualism, and we want to promote individualism. No, thank you. When you are yourself, despite what other people say, and despite other people's beliefs and what other people want you to be, this is when you're your true individualistic self, right? When we value individualism, and then we value what you as an individual has to say, and not what you as a person in a group has to say. Because this is what happens in a group. Voices get lost in a group. Your opinion gets lost in a group, and it's not that important in a group. Because why? We don't care what the different opinions are in a group. We just want the one group's opinion. And we don't want this. Because the moment we have individualism, we have someone that's not part of the group, we have progression. Why? Because you don't have a group holding your innovative ideas back. We don't have a group that holds your ideas and your ideals and your ideologies back, right? Nelson Mandela, Harvey Milk, and Rosa Parks definitely weren't part of a collective group which ultimately tried to, definitely weren't part of the collective that decided to not voice their opinions and decided to not be different, right? But they were people who all said, we're going to be different, and what they did is, I was myself, despite what anybody else said about me, and you know what? We saw progression. We saw a gay rights movement in America, which allowed gay people to start getting to marry. We saw the end of the apartheid era because a man decided to stand up and decided to, despite what people are saying, be his